We've got an exciting, jam-packed 1 million cups this morning because we have not one, but two awesome presentations coming up for you. So we want to get things rolling right away. If you've never been to 1 million cups before, raise your hand right now. I just want to know who's new in the audience in Bismarck. Thank you guys so much. Give it up for the new folks, first-timers here. We want to have you guys download our mobile app. If you search for 1 Million Cups in the App Store on Android and iPhone, you're going to find the 1 Million Cups app. It allows you to check in. This allows the Kauffman Foundation, the founders of 1 Million Cups, to really know how our 1 Mil is doing here in Bismarck and kind of keep tabs on who the speakers are, who's coming up, and send you notices about those types of things. Want to take a second and thank our sponsors. We couldn't be in this awesome place with this awesome coffee in our hand every week if it wasn't for all of the organizations, companies that step up every week and help out either financially or through gifts to make this thing possible. So just if you know these companies, give them a thank you. 1 Million Cups is a free weekly program where we give one or two local entrepreneurs a chance to pitch their idea, their business, their invention on the stage right here and create a dialogue with their communities around what they're doing right in our own backyard. And it's really this concept, the namesake, is can we change the face of our community through 1 million cups of shared coffee? So thanks for being here, and thanks for drinking coffee. If you've got Twitter, we've got somebody on Twitter today, and it's Janelle. So if you guys want to ask questions of the speakers or take a photo and snap it, share it online, you can do that with the #1MCND hashtag on Twitter, and the person monitoring Twitter, Janelle, will ask your question for you. She won't answer it, but she'll ask it for you. So if you're a little shy on the mic, really good option. All right, we're going to talk about Start Bismarck for a second. Start Bismarck is the group. By the way, if you guys have events or things, announcements, start making your way right on down to the front right now while I kind of do the pitch here for Start Bismarck. But if you've never heard of Start Bismarck, it is a group of volunteers and now a part-time executive director. I don't know what title she's given herself quite yet. But Janelle has transitioned into a role where she is now care and feeding Start Bismarck's mission on a part-time basis. I think it's full-time because it's more than 40 hours already. So, but it's a huge step in the right direction for Start Bismarck. And if you guys aren't on the newsletter, you really need to be. We send out a newsletter every week that has all of the cool stuff happening right here in Bismarck-Mandan. So it's got startup events, entrepreneurship events, community things that you should be involved in, that you should be coming to. So if you're not on that, go to startbismarck.com. Right on the website, you can put in your email, and we'll start sending you that newsletter. So we're going to go through some community announcements, things that are happening right here in Bismarck-Mandan. So take it away, Gustavo.
Good morning, everybody. I want to tell you quickly about Code Connect, and I don't know, it's just me today, I guess. But Code Connect is a monthly meetup for people that love coding, no matter what level or what kind of code you write, or maybe you don't even write code and you want to start. You should come to Code Connect if you're interested in that. So our next meetup is actually tomorrow at Juniper Workentile from 5:30 p.m. to around 8 p.m. We'll have free food, free drinks, and we're going to be learning about automate your home with Home Assistant, which is an open source automation software, which is going to be pretty sweet. So yeah, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, and yeah, hope to see you at Code Connect tomorrow.
So anybody who's ever swore at their Google Home or Alexa should come to figure out how to fix it, is what you're saying? All right, Jared, what do you got?
So a quick announcement for Innovate ND. So we have our boot camp April 6th and 7th. It's going to be in Fargo. We're doing online boot camps right now, so that started a couple weeks ago, so it's still not too late to sign up for the program. But you can get up to $24,000 to help grow your business. So if that's of interest, visit innovatend.com for more information.
All right, and is there anybody here who can talk about TEDx You Marry real quick? Any TEDxers? Any volunteers in the TEDx group? I had it on my list, so I want to just, if you guys don't know, You Marry is... Who can? Evan's a speaker. Not to put you on the spot, Evan, but it's cool. I can do it. If you, I think they're on Facebook. They've also got it on their website. But if you check it out, there is a TEDx coming up in April 4th. It's out at UMary. This is a great event. I've spoke at it in the past. They always bring a really solid lineup. They pack the house with local community members and students, and it's really a great TEDx event. So. Check it out. If you've never been to a TEDx, this is your opportunity to grab a ticket and go. Who likes today? Today is National Something on a Stick Day. You guys, Saw it in the lobby. Yep, we've got several. Give it up for Marlo Anderson, his whole team at National Day Calendar for keeping us on track with something new every day, including now being a sponsor of 1 Million Cups. Thank you, Marlo. All right, we want to quickly introduce our speaker for today, except my notes just changed, so I got to do it live. Pull it up. There we go. All right, our first speaker this morning is a Bismarck-born and raised graphic designer, a creative stylist, and photographer. Ashton Hauff has a design degree from University of Northwestern, St. Paul. She's the creator and founder of Makewell. Please give her a big round of applause as she comes to the stage. Oh, you need the mic.
Awesome, thanks, Justin. Whew. Well, this is a little weird for me. Normally I'm in the audience doing social media, but I recognize a lot of faces, and so I'm super excited to present about Makewell today. So Justin kind of stole my thunder just a little bit, but I'm going to start with who I am. Here's Makewell. So growing up, born and raised in Bismarck, North Dakota, and I had the awesome opportunity to be raised by my wonderful mom, who's here in the audience today. She was a full-time mom at home, but also a full-time artist. So I literally grew up in the art room, and I was constantly making things, and so that really set my path from a very early age. And then does anybody recognize these guys? Who are they? Yell it out. Yeah, Trading Spaces. So when I was in middle school, early high school, this was my first taste of design, and I absolutely fell in love. I was addicted to the show and really dove into the world of interior design. And that set me on a path of exploring architecture, and then eventually I found myself falling in love with graphic design, which is where I landed. So I knew at an early age what I wanted to do for college and my career. So I ended up in Minneapolis. I knew I wanted a 4-year degree. Went to Minneapolis because they're the 3rd largest design community in the nation. So just a great place to live and work. I went to the University of Northwestern, got my degree there, really loved my professors. They were just a text away at a moment's notice. So I really loved my time there. But during college, my plans of staying and working and living in Minneapolis changed a little bit when I met my now husband, Caleb. At the time, he was developing his own business, his film production business called Threefold. And so when it came time to graduate and think about where I wanted to live, we knew that Bismarck was the place for us. And so 4 years ago, I started working at CoSchedule. I know we have a lot of coworkers in the audience. When I started, it was only maybe 5 people or so, and so it's insane to see how much we've grown. I think we're at like 65 or something. It's been a really crazy journey, but it's been awesome. I also do some freelance work, so whether it's creative styling or branding projects. And then before my sophomore year of college, I actually started a photography business. This was not something I planned on doing. It kind of spiraled after I took my brother's senior photos. And so to date, I think I've taken over 100 senior photos. And then that led to my first wedding inquiry. And so I've shot over 50 weddings since then as well. Last thing I'll say about myself, I'm super proud of my scooter. I drive it from April to November, as long as the roads are clear. And I actually got to take it out yesterday when it was really sunny out. So last thing I'll say about myself. All right, so the idea for Makewell kind of spurred from my experience in Minneapolis. Like I said, it's the 3rd largest design community in the nation. And AGA is a huge organization that's all over the nation. And really has events and community around that. So I was the president of my chapter at my college. And like you'll see here, they're literally all over the nation, except right here. So when I moved home, I really started to feel this, and I started to observe just a few things. The first is that I really developed this belief that a creative life is a full life. And by creativity, I mean you're making, you're building, you're doing, you're growing. And so when you do that, I really feel like that's when you're living your full potential. That's when you have purpose. And so I just had this core belief in that. And that's kind of really where this whole stems from. And secondly, when I moved back, I found a ton of talented local creatives, like just tons. And so it was so fun getting to talk with them and meet with them. And one just led me to the other. And then lastly, with all of these creatives, I realized that they all worked by themselves. They all had questions that they just kind of kept to themselves, and they really were in their own silo. And so that was something that really got me thinking. So we have this problem. We have these really, really talented creatives all over the region, but they're keeping to themselves, and eventually this either leads to burnout, they get super exhausted, or they're bitter because they don't have any kind of community, and then they move away. They go to Minneapolis, they go to Sioux Falls, you name it. And so that's really when I had my first aha moment, that we really needed to have that creative community, that experience that I had in Minneapolis, and we need to do it here, and we need to do it in our own way. So in September of 2016, I told my idea to a few people, and they really challenged me to think bigger, and I formed my team here, and they've really shaped how Makewell is and what we're about. So we started with our mission. Our mission is to create a space for the local makers and doers to connect, to learn, and be inspired by those around them. So if it's about connection, education, or inspiration, that's really where our heart is. So we worked really fast. Between September and February, we planned our first event, and this was truly all we had planned. We were going to do one event, we were going to see how it went, and we were just so excited when it sold out. That was just a huge thing for us to know that the community was on board. And the first question that we got after the event was, when's the next one? And me or my team, we had no answer to that, and so we really moved fast, and we had our next event that June and tried to make it even bigger and better. And that one sold out as well. And then when it came to December, we wanted to do something a little bit more deeper, more of an extended experience. So we had a weekend-long maker retreat for just 25 individuals. So there we really were able to connect with one another, reflect on the past year, and then look forward to this one. And then our most recent event was actually last month. And the one thing that I'm super proud of is that we had 34% of our attendees come from outside of the state or outside of town. So that includes Minnesota and Montana. And then we also had 45% of new attendees completely new to Makewell. So even though we've been around for a year, this was our anniversary event, we're still getting new people in the door, which is great. And then the other thing we did with this one was we wanted to create a full-day experience for all of those guests coming to Bismarck. And so we had walkable downtown free activities for them so that they could connect with one another. And then we also had a couple workshops as well. So we're all about solving that problem. How do we take that siloed freelancer that's super talented and bring them into community? And through our events, we've really found it to be working, and we're super excited about that. So on average, we found that 30% of our attendees feel more connected to their community after coming to an event. And that's just one event. And then 20% feel more confident in knowing that they can do what they love, where they love. So whether they're in Minot or Dickinson or any small town, they know that they can do what they're passionate about where they are, which is a really big deal for us. And again, we're not just about being sold out. We're not just about having people in the door. We really want to have meaningful, impactful conversations. And 60% have more than 4 of those. So those are connections that really helped them out, that they're really excited about. And then over the past year, we've collectively have around 1,000 plus makers in our circle around the region through our events, through social media, and so we're just excited to see that grow. Just one quick testimonial for you. They said, I felt a close community connection to those who are supporting each other, not only in their craft, but their ability to make our state the best place to live and work. So again, really, really drawing in on that community, on supporting one another beyond just our craft, but making our community great. I mean, these people are the ones that we look for like when our guests and our friends come to town, like what are we going to do? What are we going to see? And these are the people shaping that culture. So for them to grab a hold of that is really great. Really quick, I wanted to touch on some of our demographics. We have 77% millennials, so that's 20 to 30 years of age. That's a majority of our attendees. Pretty split female-male, but usually they all have side hustles, they're small business owners, or they're really just trying to do a love with their craft and their passion. So this could be filmmakers, chefs, photographers, balloon artists. We have so many new makers coming every event, so it's excited to include them on there. We had a hula hooper at our last event, so that should be on there too. And beyond our big events, we're really trying to find daily and weekly interactions that we can make for our region. So we've seen an increase in industry-based meetups. So that could be something like Code Connect, where it's just developers getting together or photographers getting together, where they can relate to each other is really awesome. We also did an online shopping guide for the holidays, so you could not only shop local, but you could shop made local and support the makers in our region. We just launched our new mentorship program, and the idea behind that is to connect the legacy generation with this new millennial generation and really bridge that gap so they can share their experiences and their journeys. And then, of course, we have a weekly newsletter. I'm sure a lot of you are on it, which is great. And then we do a weekly Instagram story on every Tuesday showing a maker's behind the scenes. So today I'm really excited to talk to you about our next big event. We haven't announced this anywhere yet, so you guys get first peek at it, but we're going to do a workshop marathon on June 9th, and this is really going to be to fill that education part of Makewell. We're going to have 10 really, really skilled, talented makers in our community host 10 workshops back-to-back all on the same day, and then we're going to have a huge after party afterwards to just celebrate, come together, and have a good time. And so I'm super excited. Here's just 6 of the 10. These just are fabulous people, so we're excited to have them. And then we just announced our Prairie High-Rith event last week, I believe. That's going to be on August 3rd and 4th. And the idea behind this is that Joel Porter, he's a local musician. He's now in Tennessee, and he's releasing his new album called A Prairie High-Rith, and it's all inspired by Midwest heritage. And so not only are we going to feature his music and his album, we're going to feature as many awesome makers and artists in our community that have work inspired by that same thing. We've opened submissions, and I think we have probably 25 plus artists already on and ready to go, and so we're super excited to come together as a community and just celebrate our heritage with them. Lastly, I know that you guys are here for help and advice, which is really, really awesome. We're always looking for ongoing fundraising strategies. If that's your skill set, I'd love to talk to you. And then I'm also in the process of developing a business model that's people first. That might be a nonprofit, that might be a for-profit. I'm currently figuring that out. So if you have expertise in that, please come talk to me. And then, of course, we're always looking for ideas on how we can just improve the maker community. So if you know of a maker, if you are a maker, I would love to hear from you and just hear what you have. So that's everything I have. There's our website and our Instagram. I'll look forward to questions.
Good job. Keep it going for Ashton. All right, for stage 2, we've got a couple that's going to really bring down the house for you guys. They came in from Fargo, and they are the co-founders of Folkways, a community-building venture dedicated to nurturing the region's culture creators. Joe Burgum and Simone Way are committed to making Fargo, North Dakota one of the greatest cities on earth. Please welcome Joe and Simone to the stage.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Bismarck Mandan. It's great to be here with all of you. As mentioned, I'm Joe, and this is my partner, Simone. We spent a lot of time waxing and philosophizing about culture and why does culture matter. When we think about why does culture matter to you as an individual, why does it matter to a business, or why does it matter to a community? If you're thinking about taking a new job, you're looking at Bismarck versus Bozeman, and you're doing the lineup side by side, what's the tipping point on your decision to move to one community versus the other? If you're thinking about Minneapolis, Portland, Nashville, why would you choose here? I think it applies as well, not just for jobs, but looking for school. What you do after school. You're recently graduated, you're looking for a fresh start, you want to put roots down in a new community and try something different. How do you decide on where you want to move? We really believe that in the 21st century, culture is the magnet that brings individuals to a community, and that a vibrant, engaging culture, a place that's welcoming, inclusive, has a place to contribute, is why people choose to move to a city. But cities need to be more than just a cool place. We really believe that a compelling culture that instills a sense of belonging is the type of culture that communities need to develop. If you're simply a cool place, you come and visit, and then you leave. If you enjoy it, it's like a fun party. You stay until you're not having any good time, and then you leave. But that it's a sense of belonging that's really the glue that keeps people within a community. That fundamentally all of us as humans desire a sense of belonging. We look for it within schools, within friends, within church communities. And then if you don't have a sense of belonging, if you don't see yourself within the whole, why would you choose to stay in a place? And so we are Folkways. We're a community building design studio that focuses on placemaking and experience design. And really, at the end of the day, we're community builders and we're working on creating great places. We work to create experiences that connect community and increase our quality of life.
So we use a technique and a practice called placemaking. And placemaking really focuses on the human's experience within a space. We work a lot with public spaces and within events. So we use temporary infrastructure and bring it into spaces, bring it into our events, to create spaces that really welcome people, really draw people in, and really make them stay in a place. So we know at the farmers market that we invite people to and create a plaza for, that people stay somewhere between an hour and a half, which is a lot longer than they would at the grocery store, because people really feel welcome, like they belong in that space. And people are responding really well to it. And in the last year, we brought 120,000 visitors to our downtown, to our events and our programming. And this year, we plan to increase that by 30%. And because measuring the success of a place can be really challenging, we work to collect data in a ton of different ways. Because we know that there is more of the story to tell than just how many people came to an event or how long they stayed. So we work to collect data at our events, after our events, from our vendors, from our venue hosts, to find out the full picture and the full story of our events and programming. So we set up a set of key performance indicators to really see how our events and programming were doing, along with how our community was doing. So first, in the engagement category, we see how many people attend our events, how long they stay, and who they are, what their demographic information is, how many volunteers we had, things like that. And in connection, we're really trying to track how our community is doing. So we track how people are feeling at our events. Do they feel connected to our community? How do they engage in our community? What kind of language they use to talk about the place that they live? Is it positive? Is it negative? And then we try to track if they're returning to our events, and then those user testimonies, the user experience. How are they feeling? What kind of experience did they have? What kind of memories were made? That's stuff that you can't see in how many people came or how much money they spent. And then in the economic impact category, we're recording exactly how much people spent at our events and trying to estimate based on that how much they're spending downtown, how much money is going back in our community from every transaction that's made. So we estimate that someone comes to our event and 1/3 of those people go on to spend about $25 at a downtown business. And that is a huge impact for small businesses in our community. So we wanted to show a little bit of that data in action. So we run an event called the Red River Market. It's our region's largest, I think it's our region's largest free community public gathering that happens weekly. If you can find a bigger one, let me know. I'd love to go to it. So we're working to support the food system in our community, support small businesses, but also create a place for people to gather, a place where they really love, a place where they feel welcome. So in our engagement, we see 110,000 people over the season, and that's a huge number, and that's like the number that people always want to hear. But the numbers that I feel are more important are $500,000 in vendor sales going to small businesses, farmers, artists, makers, and a total impact to downtown businesses of almost $1 million over the season. That's numbers that you can't just see from how many people showed up at the event. So we're trying to share those stories, and another one that I'd like to share is from the Chris Kindle Mark. So this is another new event that we did last winter, and we were really trying to create a new holiday tradition among people in Fargo or visitors to Fargo. So we held a 3-day event that was inspired by German Christmas markets. Now you see them all across Europe and starting to become more popular in the US. But we really wanted to bring in that atmospheric delight and share that with people. So you can see for our first event, great, we had 7,500 attendees. Sales were great, but the numbers the data that I really like are really that experiential stuff. So we had 54 live Christmas trees that lined the event and made people feel like they were in a forest downtown. And we had 50 carolers that sang every night around the fire pits. And our visitors drank 100 gallons of mulled wine, which is amazing. People love mulled wine. It's really amazing. But the stories the one thing out of all the data we collected that I really love and I think really speaks to what we do is the story of a mom telling us about the experience that she had with her family. She brought her parents and both her and her child, so there are 3 generations hanging out at this event, and she told a story about hanging out at the fire pits, and our kids roasted marshmallows with their grandparents, and they played games and hung out all evening. And the last line of her testimony I really loved. She said, "Certainly it created a lasting memory for all of us." And that is information that we can't just find tracking people walking across our laser and saying, "Oh, that's my phone, sorry." Saying how many people came or how much they spent. It's those real moments that people have that make them want to be in their community, that make them fall in love with the place. And so we realized that a lot of people haven't been to our events from Bismarck, so we wanted to just give you a little picture into what that family's memories might have looked like, what they might have seen at the event. So.
Let's give it up for Folkways, everybody. I'm going to have you guys grab some seats, and then we're going to invite Ashton back up here. All right, Peter's on the microphone today. Peter, say hi.
Hello.
All right, so how this works is we do record these, we live stream them, so we like you guys to use the mics to answer or ask your questions. So if you guys have questions, just throw your hands up in the air, grab Peter's attention. He'll come over, hand you that mic, and we'll go through as many questions as we can in the next 15, 20 minutes. So with that, guys, go ahead and start getting questions going. But, one of the things would be, for the Folkways team, just what is the next chapter look like? You've really told the story very well about where you've been in this last year and the successes, but what's the big, hairy, audacious goals for the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Where does this go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a huge part of our success is how we start our events. We're really good at going from 0 to 1. That's part of the reason we describe ourselves as more of a design studio. Our end product are these experiences, but it's really our process and a human-centered design. It gets us there. But within that, we think of ourselves as radical incrementalists. So it's a lot of massive, really small steps over time to get us where we're going. So our vision for the farmers market is that from the year we started to 10 years, we'll be recognized as one of the best farmers markets in the country. So that's one of our objectives, is that our state would not be just known for big ag, but local ag, that growers and producers. And same goes for the Chris Kindle Mart. Our hope is that it's an event that you would choose to invite relatives up from South Dakota and make the drive to Fargo to come to a holiday experience because you have those traditions and those memories. And then beyond that, I think it's being nimble. Culture is dynamic and ever evolving, and we're fortunate to be young and plugged in with the younger generation right now, but every time we talk to a group of students at the university, I think to myself, oh my gosh, things are changing so quickly. How do we stay relevant? And I think part of that is thinking about systems and processes and not necessarily the product itself.
All right, our first audience question in the back. Go ahead.
My question's actually for Ashton, and it's a two-parter. Basically, and maybe you said this a little bit more in your presentation, and I missed it, so I apologize for that. But I did notice that, obviously with Makewell, you had mentioned that it's very much, or had started out very much focused on that creative culture, that community. But looking at those that are coming up in the next few sessions that you'll be having, they're creatives, but they are a diverse group. How would you position it to those of us who are not necessarily a creative, but maybe interested in going?
Yeah, definitely. So first off, I believe that everyone is creative.
Same.
Yeah, if you're making, if you're building, if you're growing something, if you're problem solving, I believe you're creative. So I really want everyone in this room to own that today, that you are creative. Secondly, yes, the workshop and the art gallery are not strictly for creatives. They're certainly for the public to come together and to celebrate the creatives and the makers in our community. The workshops will be topics ranging for, how to make a candle to how to make an even meal. And so it's really going to be for both the public and for makers trying to improve their skills. We'll have a really good variety in that. And then with the gallery event, like I said, it's going to be celebrating those artists and celebrating the maker and the art that's there, but it's completely going to be open to the public. We want to have NIFLA soup and all the, Midwest heritage foods and drinks there to really come together as a community and celebrate our heritage.
Well, then the second part of my question is, how are you marketing this to those outside of the city, outside of the state? You had mentioned that you had quite a large number that came to the last one, and then I'm probably going to step on toes here. How can we help you promote it?
Yeah, definitely. So we rely a lot on Instagram. Right away, our first event was Bismarck, but really through word of mouth, that spread to other cities in the state, and now that's starting to spread to outside of the state. Because the makers, we really have kind of a close-knit connection group, and so you usually know somebody doing something that's really cool. And so it's really been word of mouth, but a lot of our Instagram, we really rely heavy on that.
One of the questions I have for both of you is, Ashton, you mentioned it in your talk, just the importance of childhood, the exposure to the arts. And I can imagine for both of you, there's a lot of inspiration too in childhood. Talk to me about, and almost send a message to parents in the audience too, about how do you raise kids into adults that become starters like you guys on this stage? How does that work, and what inspired you ultimately to take these leaps of faith and do what you're loving?
I think from an event creation standpoint, we've really tried to shift the paradigm of who you think comes to an event. And so I think often we create these experiences where it's a kid fun day and there's the bouncy house and the gym's really noisy, and then all the parents are just standing against the gym wall, just and it's just getting through it. And then at the same time, you have events that you say, well, hey, please bring your children. And I think there's still, especially in our community, sort of what if they're, crying or noisy, or it's just, there's a small table and a coloring book. Saying, well, that doesn't necessarily. So we've really tried to say, well, how do you create an experience that is for both? It is for children and it is for parents. And so you saw it in the Chris Kindle Mart where, it's maybe not for toddlers necessarily, but we did have a day where we had the foam blocks and the mats and kids rolling around, but then a parent can actually get adult food in the same room. And really, so for us, it's really thinking about that experience and how do we create places that are intergenerational. We're just so bifurcated in age and where we think it's appropriate to have different ages, and that doesn't make it a community event. And I think that's from our experiences and just being brought places as kids.
Yeah, we really think that the inspiration for this stuff comes from spending time in community. Actually, a friend told us that she was driving home from one of our events with her child, and they had this beautiful conversation about, that the child had this realization that, they can see people outside of their home or their work or their school. The child saw their teacher and they had a great conversation. And this spurred into a conversation about, what is community? There are people out there that care about us besides our parents. And this whole conversation about loving the place that you live spurred from just spending a day at one of our events. So I think it's really about that exposure in the community with your parents and having those learning experiences together.
Yeah, for me, in my experience, I think having an artist as my mom and going with her everywhere, seeing her make constantly, I really learned quickly that you can start from scratch and be super satisfied with something as the end result really quickly. She really encouraged, like make mistakes, fail fast, get messy. Sometimes it's about the process and it's not about the end result. And so I think just having that attitude in life has really helped me start random things and see where it goes.
All right, Peter's got somebody with a question out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, question. We have 15,000 jobs open in North Dakota, and employers spend a lot of money on recruiting, advertising, trying to attract people here. Just for the panel, talk a little bit about the role of culture in trying to solve the workforce development problem in North Dakota, and then also, what do you say to people that say, well, we're never going to fill these jobs because we're just too far north and it's too cold here?
Got a plant in the audience.
Yeah. Well, I did hear from someone recently, they pointed out, and you may actually know, that Winnipeg is larger than the entire state of North Dakota. And so I think in terms of the cold weather thing, I think it really is how we shift the perception, and I think really how we embrace winter recreation. I think as it relates to the workforce challenge, and both kind of from the business side of it, we're similar to Ashton with Makewell, is that we're a social enterprise. We don't fit the traditional LLC bucket very well with the products that we're offering, yet we also aren't ready to fully commit to what it means to be a nonprofit as that relates to revenue restrictions and the different kind of board structures that I think can be helpful, but also you give up some flexibility. And so we've really tried to say, well, how do we have a conversation with companies not to sponsor an event, right? People say, hey, we'd love to sponsor, here's $1,000, and then it comes from a marketing line item from that company. Whereas you look at recruitment line item, right, or retention, or food and drink for recruiting talent, those line items can be much larger, especially when you start looking at our major employers. And so trying to make this relationship to say, hey, something like the farmer's market is a great thing for you to have your name on, but it's probably not a very good ad buy. What it is helpful for is that when you're bringing talent to Fargo, allow us to work with you to say, hey, let's make sure they come to the farmer's market and they see that there's a place to plug in, that there is community vibrancy, and that your investment in this event is about quality of life for your employees as much as it is about name recognition for your organization. And I think that just has to do with what makes vibrant communities. I mean, I think if you don't have a farmer's market, it's a pretty low bar. I mean, I think every community in North Dakota should have a farmer's market. It doesn't need to be 50 people or 50 vendors. I mean, it can be 5 vendors and still be a vibrant place.
And that's where we're trying to measure that community connectivity. We've heard for so long and so often about open jobs and all that information and how many people are leaving. And our theory is like, let's just do something. Let's just measure something and see if we're seeing any changes, before events, after events, to see how people feel, how connected people feel in our community, because we've seen 100 times, someone moves here, they work at their job, they don't make friends, and then they leave. So we're at least trying to measure that.
And trying to bring data to the table. I mean, we've heard the number of open jobs and the percentage of unemployment for years, and no other metrics. No other metrics.
Anything that kind of paints a picture of
right, how do we quantify
Yeah.
moving the needle?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with our generation for jobs, it's not just about where can I do this, it's like where do I want to live,
Right.
and where do I want to have family and friends and really get together with my community. So that's why we partner so much with small business owners, because they are creating those jobs, and not only are they creating a job, but they're creating an environment and an atmosphere where somebody can be creative and they can do what they love, where they want to be. So that's kind of where Makewell stands.
Couple questions. One, Joe, can you talk about co-starters and your involvement with that? And then second question is, there's got to be a story behind the red truck for the Red River Market.
Yeah, for sure. So Co-Starters is a program that we stumbled upon through meeting other community builders across the country. It's a 9-week, 1 evening a week business development program. So the headquartered out of Nashville, or Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they operate about 70 communities around the country. And we really saw it as a need for, if you have an idea to start a storefront business, if you're working on a side hustle and you're just like, wow, how do I find mentorship, or I just have these questions, or create some accountability. And so you meet 1 evening a week for 9 weeks, and that's what you really need to start a business. We have a lot of people that say, well, you don't have an MBA, and we say, hey, I know a lot of people with MBAs that don't know how to, run a point of sale system. I mean, there's these like fundamentals to sort of running a small business, and I think we need a different level of acumen. And we were really drawn to it because it's really a community building endeavor. You sit around a table with a group of other people that are working on starting their businesses. It's facilitated by a local business owner, and each week we bring in business owners to speak. And so as much as it is about equipping people with the skills and the acumen, it's about building that web and that support network for people starting businesses. You want to talk about the truck?
Do I? I know the full story? I don't know if I know the full story.
So the red truck, we have a 1949 red Chevy pickup truck that's our mascot and utility vehicle for the farmers market. It actually belongs to my father. He leased it in college when he was a chimney sweep from the store that sold wood-fired stoves. So a little symbiotic small business relationship there. And so it's been in the family for not that long, but been driven by the family for quite some time.
Oh, I do have stuff to add. So we use our red truck as like the photographic moment at our events. We always try to, in any event that we're doing, we always try to find an Instagrammable moment, which to people of a certain group, that means something, but to us it means something that you find so unique that you want to share it with others. So I think the red truck is probably the #1 photograph thing at any of our events, from children with vegetables to at the Christmas market you also saw it, and it's kind of become a symbol at the entrance of a lot of our events.
What a legacy, And now that chimney sweep, Governor Burgum, thank you for being here. We appreciate you being in the audience. What a testament to what the work is that you're doing, though, when you think about that legacy mindset. As a community, a lot of the work that you're doing is going to have ripple effects for decades. And I mean, as a parent, I thank you both, both groups for all of the work you do, because it's changing the community truly into something that I know will inspire the next generation that's coming behind us. And so, I don't know, I look at even just the work Start Bismarck's doing and all of these different community groups, and they're all different puzzle piece, but each one really is about creating that fabric and that vibrancy that spurs innovation, spurs entrepreneurship, and that sense of community and belonging. And I think happier and healthier lives, too, live through that sense of community. So all really good stuff. Next question's from the front row here. Evan, take it away.
A quick question for Ashton. As a participant in many of your events, it's amazing what you've created, and I think myself and a lot of others are really curious about the future. We heard from Folkways some of their plans, and I'm really curious. It sounds like you're putting a little more structure around your organization, and what's the long term look like?
Sure. So we're still in the beginning stages, so we really think 6 to 9 months out. And right now we're really trying to focus on building that foundation, because we're beyond the point where we know that it works. And now we're trying to really make it excellent, and we're trying to do it really well. So our near future is, having more quarterly events, more interactions with people. And then, of course, I have some big ideas, but they're probably, year to 5 years down the road, where we'd love to have a maker space in our community. So similar to co-working, but more of a creative environment where we have the equipment that you might not be able to afford as an individual artist, but something that you could come together and use. And I would love to have some sort of market, whether it's your guys' thing or, some version of that.
Peter, where you at? Okay, Jared, go ahead.
So what advice do you have for other communities across the state, Minot, Jamestown, Grand Forks, on how to replicate what you guys are doing? Because what you guys are doing is working, and it's getting attention, and people are enjoying it. And, how do you have that secret sauce, so to speak, to spread across the other places in North Dakota?
I think in terms of a 6-month action item that all three of us have as of late is, how do we create resources for other communities across the state? How do we develop the white papers, the checklists, sort of the methodology around it? So that's something that we're working on. But I think in terms of advice, I think it's start with the big dream. We always start with this like crazy huge visions, like something we know that is like we know we can do it. But then we zoom down.
We get a quote for the Ferris wheel first, and then we
really
hone it in.
Really wanted a Ferris wheel. But I think it's that 0 to 1. I mean, I think that for us, we try to always start with the fun. You know, especially when it's a new idea or coming together with friends and you know, having a dinner and saying, let's think of an idea, or I've got this idea, let's bring people together. Not that it's bad, but there's always someone that says, well, you know, you got to think about insurance, and it's like, no, like we'll get there. Like we'll get to that eventually.
Back to the Ferris wheel.
And so I think it's starting with the fun, right? I mean, I think it really is when you're starting something new. Like, why do you do it? And it's often by choice. And so what drives choice? And I think it's often impact, passion, joy that you're receiving from the work and also the impact. And then that starts small and grow incrementally. We love the farmers market because every single week we're iterating. We did one-time events like once a year, and it was really hard. You throw it all in, you do one huge event, and it's like, it's, you know, winner take all. We got our one opportunity, and then it's done. You're like, oh, wow. Versus this weekly opportunity, I mean, similar to a 1 million cups or for the farmers market, there's a little bit less pressure, right? You have the infrastructure to create it, and then each week it's like, you know, that chair wasn't right, or we need to print more signs for the bathrooms, or you see these different things and you're able to improve on it. So it's not a big bite, it's lots of little ones.
Yep, and for Makewell, we started with the question, what's something that we would want to go to? So we had a list of things that we are not going to do, and we had a list of things that we wanted to do. So the secret sauce is a hula hoop artist and a musician. You know, you have to think about your community and what your community has to offer, because even within North Dakota, our communities are different, and so it's really taking advantage of how do you make joy and what type of talent do you have in your city.
Yeah, I've got a question for Ashton. I teach entrepreneurship to elementary and middle school kids, and like you, I believe everyone is entrepreneurial. But for some of it's been paved over, kind of, you know. Are you planning any kid events in Bismarck? And if you are, can I help? And if you're not, what can we do?
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly love to. One idea that we've tossed around is doing a Makewell for high school students or for middle school students, or even younger. But how the event can transform to fit that age. But yeah, we've been thinking about it.
All right, we're at that time. I know you guys probably have a lot more burning questions for all of them up on the stage. Real quick, just let everybody know, how can people be in touch with you and get a hold of you guys if they have follow-up questions or just want to get together and visit?
For us, it's really our website, wearemakewell.com, or we're super active on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, whatever you name it, and it's always We Are Makewell, so that's the best way to get a hold of us.
We would love to get coffee. We're in Bismarck relatively often. If you're ever in Fargo, please reach out. When we have big ideas, we often think about how do we create it into coffeeable action items. And that makes things really more tangible and more pleasurable even. I think really the goal is to drink coffee and sit outside. I think that's really kind of the pinnacle. But our emails are joe@folkways.co and simone@folkways.co, and our website, folkways.co.
All right, Peter, you want to do the honors? Ask the last question we always ask.
Sure, and you guys have touched on it a little bit, but what can we do as the Bismarck Mandan community and the 1 Million Cups community to support your organizations and or your events?
I guess I'm going first. For me personally, my ask is that you just all leave understanding that you are creative. Whether you're, like I said, you're making or building or growing, that is creativity. You might not be artistic. That is a totally different thing. But if you are problem solving, you are creative. And so I just want you to own that and to live that out, because I truly feel like that's what shapes our community and that's what shapes our culture, is really owning that and believing that. And then for Makewell, we really just want to elevate the makers in our communities. And so if you know of makers, if you are a maker, please reach out to somebody, reach out to us. Like, let's do this together.
We would love to be hired to do work in Bismarck. I think that we are realizing that we are becoming subject matter experts on something that's a new space. Placemaking, this idea of how do you create communal events that bring people to public spaces when we don't inherently have public spaces that are used like you see in other parts of the world. And for us, I think we're different than like an events production company in that we don't necessarily want to host one of our events here. We want to collaborate. We want to bring the subject matter expertise. We want to do the design charrette. We want to solve the problems and help teach a community to create those experiences. If you need an outside organization to help build community events, there's no sustainability created within that. And so I'd say that's kind of the big ask. I think if you're ever in Fargo, please come to the farmers market. We'd love to hear your thoughts and share knowledge on that. And use public space. Sit on a bench outside. Talk to your neighbor.
what you thought about that
go to the
bench.
farmers market that you have here in your community. I really think that great, vibrant communities and often places we travel to visit or destinations that become lists for attractive places to tourism to are great places to live in. They have great public space. They have vibrant street culture. They have a fabric of small businesses that make a place interesting. And the beautiful thing is that I think all the communities in North Dakota can have that at their own scale, and that we can be the best state in the union and one of the best places in the world to live and have a family.
I agree. All right, let's give it up for Folkways and Makewell, everybody. Awesome job. Next week, we are having a local filmmakers panel on the stage. So continuing along that creativity vein, if you've got anybody interested in filmmaking, photography, or just want to make it back here to reconnect with this group of people, that's awesome. Make sure to be back here Wednesday at 9 a.m. For a quick curveball, Janelle's looking at me like, what? This is not scripted. I'd love for us to grab a community photo. I mean, we've got some excellent community builders. Can we put them on the front of the stage and then have you guys come up on this and pack the house so we can post something on Instagram for them to just show the community's love and support of both of these organizations? Governor, would you mind standing up here with them too as well? I know it's impromptu. I got thumbs up. Let's do it. Let's real quick. Everybody funnel down. Some people in front of the stage. We'll figure it out. House lights up and we'll grab some photos.